Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Charlotte from At Charlotte's House. Today I am pulling out my sewing machine, I'm pulling out my Cricut. I am going to make something really fun for fall. Stay tuned. I love working with felt, mostly because the colors are so bright and cheerful and it's super affordable. And I had an idea to make a table runner and use felt as sort of an embellishment around the outside. But then my idea got legs, and I thought it would be really fun if I could use my Cricut to cut out shapes that are more intricate than I could do with a pair of scissors. So here's what I've learned. I have learned that you need to do a couple things in order to use your Cricut with felt. So I'm going to talk you through that, and then I'm going to show you the whole process. Most of the suggestions were to use this heat and bond on the back of your felt. Now, I have done a bunch of these cuts, and here's where I like it. If you use this on the back of your felt, you're not going to ruin your cutting mat. Felt is super fuzzy. If you put it onto that adhesive cutting mat for a Cricut, it's just gonna ruin it. So this is a really easy step. All you have to do is follow the directions on the package. I am using Heat and Bond Light. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna cut out a sheet of this that is as big as whatever the piece of felt you have is. I'm using the entire sheet of felt. There's quite a bit of waste for this project. Thankfully, felt and this heat and bond is pretty affordable, but if you wanna be more particular, by all means, go for it. I found this just to be the fastest method. Notice that one side of the heat and bond is a little bit shiny, the other side looks just like paper. You're going to put the shiny side face down, and then following the directions on the package, I have my iron heated to medium heat, and I'm simply gonna hold it onto the paper for 2 seconds in each section, and then just keep it moving. So it doesn't take long whatsoever, and you can see that it's already sort of adhering to the felt. The next thing I'm gonna do is I need to create what I'm going to cut. So I've purchased a handful of random leaves. These were actually the ones that I fell in love with, but I'm gonna talk about those with you in a minute. Let's start with the simple ones. So I'm gonna arrange all of my leaves into a pattern so that I can cut as many as I can at one time. Now, because we're working with felt, I wanted to give a little bit more space between the cutting printout than I normally would. But then if you go and select all, on my machine, I can come down here to weld. And that means that when I go to make it, it'll keep them all in that arrangement and I can move them around anywhere I like. That was really helpful for me. I went ahead and I saved my various layouts as a project. Here's my setup. I've already loaded my project. I know that these leaves fit super well onto the sheets of felt. You're going to need a Cricut deep cut blade to work with felt, and you're gonna wanna set your material for Fabric Plus. I actually went ahead and removed the paper from the heat and bond. It comes right off, and you see that what's left is sort of that shiny backing, and this is what I'm going to place onto my mat. So mine is pretty beat up. It's stickiest in the middle, which is why I'm placing it right here. And that just means that when I go to cut, I'm gonna have to shift my cutting pattern over just a little bit. By the magic of the Cricut, here are all my cutouts. As you can see, the Cricut made it so much easier. I just love the detail of these leaves. I could have cut them by hand, but this is so much nicer. Remember the more intricate cuts I showed you at the beginning? Here's what I've learned about more detailed cuts. First of all, if they're too small, they won't work with the felt. The felt is pretty fragile, so some of these little tiny pieces, it just doesn't hold together. So I learned that the hard way. If you want to do an intricate cut with the felt, you want to make it a little bit bigger. The second thing I learned is that the blade on the Cricut, it felt like it got dull pretty fast, so it was still able to get through these, but by the end, I had to go back and really sort of release it a little bit more with scissors. So again, I would say that you can certainly use the Cricut to do more intricate cuts like this on felt, but the basic leaves were a lot easier. Now that I have all of my felt cut out, I am going to go and make the base for the runner. Originally, I was going to use just a basic off-white duck cloth because it's super affordable, but then I realized that that was a little bit dull and neutral, and I saw this. It is a heavyweight fabric. It'll work just fine. I love the black and white. I love the herringbone. I also love the way these colors sort of work against it. So I'm gonna cut out a shape from this. I'm gonna hem the edges, and this will be the base for my table runner. I wanted to add a little bit more texture and a little bit more depth to the runner, so I added a second layer of leaves around the perimeter, but I also brought in some of this colorful rickrack, and I'm using that same felt glue, and I'm simply gluing this around the perimeter of these smoother leaves, and we will see how this looks.